Welcome back to Sonic Generations. In this part we're going to the Chemical Plant Zone. And what do we think of that selection as a Sonic 2 level, Stephen?
Alright.
I'd say it's one of the most iconic sort of Sonic 2 levels.
Yeah, I would agree with you there. In the 3DS version they use Casino Night, which is probably, if you're going to pick one that would represent at least an early level for the game, it would be either Chemical Plant or Casino Night, wouldn't it?
Yeah.
I think if I were to have like one that I would have liked to have seen, but obviously it wouldn't have been because of how early Sonic 2 is in the game here, I would have been curious to see Metropolis Zone. And that, obviously it would have been way too hard to put as a like second level in Generations, but I'm curious to see how that they would have remixed the song from that as well.
I like the fact that just a moment ago Sonic made a reference to secret rings and colours.
Yeah, I like that Secret Rings is canon in this storyline.
Why is it not canon?
Well, it's just so bizarre and out there. It's like Sonic gets walked into a magical storybook of the Arabian Nights, and that's the story, and that is in this set in the same continuity.
Timey-wimey.
Wouldn't that mean Black Knight would be canon as well?
Well, given that is like a sort of spiritual successor to Secret Rings, I would assume so.
Plus Night of the Wind's in this.
I think that's one of the unlockable themes, is it? And I think Seven Rings in Hand is, but I can't actually verify that off the top of my head. But yeah, they give us a little introduction or tutorial to what we already know of. There's two different versions of each level. You can go to each world in whichever order you like. So if you want to go classic first, you can go classic first. If you want to go modern first instead, you can do that too. For the sake of this playthrough, I'm going to be going classic then modern in every stage just for the sake of consistency. But if you want to switch it around, you can, and I think that's a good idea really.
The only reason I didn't really have much of an opinion on this stage is because I've barely touched the classic series.
I've played them. I tend to stick to like 3D Sonic just because that's what I've come to prefer over time. But like, the classics for what they are very good games. I just not my thing as much. Yeah, it's one of them. I should really put the time into like actually beating them properly rather than just sort of save scumming and shit. But yeah, one day. One day.
I used to hate this level on the actual original. You know when the water is coming up on the original and you have to jump across. You always wasn't stuck on that bit.
What I find with that section is if you get it on your first cycle, you're fine. If you fuck something up, it's just going to really slow you down, and that's when it starts to get kind of annoying. Once you've played it a certain number of times, you do get a feel for like where the blocks move, and then you can do that, and then you realise the trap with certain parts of the floor, like you just sort of fall down and that. But otherwise, it's
alright.
Yeah, it's not too much. It's one of the things that I notice a lot of games I go back to after time. I'm better at because I played them when I was a kid, and then as a kid I had no sort of thought process for problem solving. I would just brute force the same mistakes over and over. That was Act 1 of Chemical Plant, and overall it's a pretty decent adaptation of Chemical Plant. It cuts out some of the bullshit. If you go the high routes, there's not as much to sort of screw you over. So yeah, it's pretty fun classic level as classic levels go. Although it's modern Sonic through Chemical Plant that I find to be much more memorable here.
Yeah, I prefer this level, the modern Sonic.
I like how when you've done one act, only half the stage is coloured in afterwards.
Well, as you complete more and more of the challenges as well, it sort of fills in more and more of the hub world, which I think is really cool.
And considering that the reason the worlds are regaining their colour and life is because Sonic's running through them again, wouldn't it make sense to have like the worlds gradually gain their colour as you're running through them?
I see where you're coming from. I don't think that would be technically possible because that would involve like a lot of rendering colouring on the fly. And given the disaster was Unleashed performance, as we discussed in the last part, trying to pull off something like that on the 360 would have been just not plausible.
Fair enough.
It makes me, that idea though, it makes me think sort of, have you ever seen that De Blob game?
A little bit. I just remember adverts of it.
Well, the premise is basically that the world has lost all its colour and you've got to go around as this little blobby character and just paint the colour back. Yeah, I remember getting a few levels into it. It's one of them that didn't really hold my interest that much, but it's just a cool idea, I think.
So much going on in there in this level. Like, I really do like the way they like reimagine all these levels. They do it really well, I think.
That dive sequence reminds me a bit of Rooftop Run in Unleashed.
Yeah, it is, and I do like that they sort of switched around because they could have easily just like reused Rooftop Run pretty much as it is if they wanted to, but they didn't. They kind of were a little bit more imaginative, and there's a few parts where they just sort of take inspiration from other levels, like in Green Hill they had a bit of Emerald Hill from Sonic 2, you know, like the corkscrew 12 sort of part. That wasn't actually in Sonic 1 Green Hill, that was only in Sonic 2 Emerald Hill, which it's to sort of remix the levels a little bit, make them that bit more fresh, and it's a good little touch, I think. And if you're wondering why we keep getting these time pop-up things like whenever I go through a checkpoint, is because what I'm doing for the sake of this playthrough is I first recorded all the levels just to get like a perfect no-hit rundown of them, just because like, I thought after the fuck up that was my last generation's run, I should actually do this one well. So like, I've done that, and then I sort of recorded a skeleton run around it, which was all the cutscenes and walking around in the hub world and stuff.
Oh yeah.
So a lot of editing, but it did the job.
Yeah. What do you make of the ranking system in this game as well?
You get an S rank every fucking time.
Yeah.
It's so generous.
Especially compared to other Sonic games, are usually quite harsh, aren't they? With like,
Well, some of them are. Like,
Unleashed.
Unleashed, I'm trying to remember. Yeah, the Unleashed version, that was like, I got a B in most of my runs, but yeah, that is what it is.
I think I remember quite a few E's.
I don't think I ever got any E's in.
I wasn't
Unleashed.
too great at it.
The best part of that is in the HD version if you get an E, and you just get that really out of tune result screen music playing.
Colours was probably the best balance between them, I'd say.
Yeah,
it wasn't overly generous, but it's like if you did bad, it'd let you know.
Yeah. Well, we'll see you next time in the Sky Sanctuary Zone. Bye for now.